What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of exciting news stories to go over here this week. We have some pretty big stuff here. I mean, Dodge finally gave us some power numbers here for the Charger EV, as well as some other crazy info about this vehicle and their future plans, which I'll be covering here. Also, BMW finally explained some of their polarizing designs, all kinds of great stuff here in this weekly update. But first, getting into the first news story here, Dodge brought a new version of the Dodge Charger SRT Daytona to the SEMA show here this week. And in addition to showing a new paint color here and some new wheels, they also detailed some of the power levels that will be offered here, along with talking about more about this patented exhaust system that they're going to be having on this electric vehicle. First, though, the power levels. So the lower versions will be using a 400-volt electrical system, and the base setup, they say now, will be 456 horsepower and all-wheel drive. So this means if you want a Charger EV, they will all be all-wheel drive. So in addition to saying goodbye to the gas engine, we're also saying goodbye to rear-wheel drive Dodge-powered muscle cars here, which is kind of crazy as well. I kind of actually thought they would have some type of slower rear-wheel drive version, but it sounds like they're all going to be all-wheel drive, which is interesting. But that's the way they're deciding to play it. There still might be a potential to have a rear-wheel drive mode or something, but apparently they're all going to come with all-wheel drive. The good thing here, though, is that 456 horsepower is way more from a base trim than what we ever got with the Charger and Challenger with their 300 or 292 horsepower base motors, whatever they had. It's a lot more power. Now granted, it will probably be a lot more money for these as well to go along with the extra power, but it's a good starting point. That's all I gotta say. 456 horsepower to start is very impressive. And they also gave us some of the higher power levels here as well. So beyond that here, the next level up will be 590 horsepower, still on that 400-volt system. And it's also worth noting that these horsepower ratings in kilowatts are 340 and 440, just like the old Mopar engine displacements. So I think that might have been a little bit deliberate with those numbers, even though the horsepower, conversions sound kind of random. The 340 kilowatt and 440 kilowatts is a fun little historical tie-in, in my opinion. They also aren't revealing any of the numbers for the 800-volt Banshee versions, which are going to be the crazier, Hellcat kind of successors. But we do have some other horsepower numbers here. So it's kind of interesting, the way they're going to be rolling out some of these upgrades, which I briefly talked about whenever the Charger debuted here for this electric version, but we have more info on that here. So they did reveal that there's these direct connection factory upgrade options, and we got some power levels for some of those. So the way that you'll get these upgrades, by the way, is you're plugging a crystal into the dashboard there, and that will unlock an E-stage, and they're tied to the car's VIN number, meaning it's married to the car. So if you sell the car and all that, it will go with it. So it is tied to the vehicle. That also will prevent theft and stuff because it only works for that VIN car. They're planning to sell them through dealers, even though it sounds like it's basically just a software thing. They said they wanted to help support the dealers since they'll have some lost revenue and income from not servicing these vehicles as much since they're EVs and they don't need much servicing. So this is kind of a way to help the dealers, they're saying. I'm not sure what part of it requires a dealer install and whether there's going to be a workaround for that or what, but that's a little bit interesting. Anyway, moving on here to some of the other power numbers here. So for the base 456 horsepower car, the first E-Stage will bump power to 495 horsepower, and then E-Stage 2 will take it to 535 horsepower. On the faster 590 horsepower model, the first E-Stage for that one will bump it to 630 horsepower, and then E-Stage 2 for that one will take it to 670 horsepower. So we're basically almost at Hellcat power just for what would be considered the base and the Scat Pack versions of these new models. Again, we don't have trim names for these yet, so we don't know what they're going to be called, but it's essentially just, if you're thinking about in that mentality, we're talking about stuff that is beneath the actual full-blown SRT versions that are going to, still have almost 700 horsepower, if you do this upgrade, again, through the dealer after the fact. Again, you'll be starting with a car that has, 590 horsepower or whatever. So anyway, that's all pretty interesting. And then again, who knows with the Banshee stuff, there will be the regular Banshee, which will obviously start beyond those. So we're talking Banshee will at least be, 700 horsepower. And then they're going to have stage 1 and 2 for those as well. So everyone's assuming these will probably max out or at least hit 1,000 horsepower at some point. I think that'd be fairly, obtainable and easy to do. And so, we'll see what ends up happening. But, I wouldn't be shocked if the top Banshee does 1,000 horsepower. So other stuff here. On the conference call with Dodge CEO, which I was on, by the way, it's so great listening to Tim Kuniskis talk because he's very blunt and straightforward and just kind of says things right off the cuff, which I find really refreshing. If I were to be a CEO of a car company, I feel like I'd be pretty close to Tim Kuniskis, at least with my style of, talking to the public and media and stuff. But anyway, so he explained a little bit more about this patented exhaust system here. And so he explained that it still uses baffles and the movement of air to make the sound, and then it can vary and be tuned just like a traditional exhaust system. So they say they're using the same kind of techniques they use to tune any other exhaust system to tune this system. And so it's just basically where the sound is coming from. So with a gas engine, it's coming from a giant air compressor essentially with the engine, and they're doing the same kind of thing with having that air being pushed through, and that's going to be what causes it. Again, they still haven't revealed all the details, it's patented and all that kind of stuff, but that kind of gives a little more information. This isn't just some speaker mounted to the back end of the car that's playing a sound. There is more to it, and so it's going to feel more realistic. I think they said the difference is, on the call he was mentioning how, whenever you're in these cars that have this stereo augmentation, it doesn't sound as authentic. Hearing something in the car is different than hearing something behind you. And, obviously there's other car companies playing around with some type of speaker mounted to the outside that, again, play sound behind you. But this is actually real air moving through real pipes, producing a sound behind you, which should make for the most authentic and most convincing, sound for an EV exhaust, I guess. And so I think Dodge is really onto something here. I'm very excited to, see more of that. But anyway, so he gave us a little bit more info on that. He also pointed out that the thing that's generating the sound in the first part of that exhaust system is not a speaker. He says it's not a speaker. It's some other type of sound generation device, but it's not a normal traditional speaker. And so one other important thing to note there. And other crazy stuff that he dropped, which I guess he said that he's already confirmed and stuff. I must have missed this because there's still been lots of rumors saying things to the contrary, but on this call here, he did also confirm, other media brought up the idea about, okay, they debuted some Hurricane 6 crate engines at SEMA. And so everyone's like, okay, well, clearly you're showing how these Hurricane 6 motors are going to have a lot of power potential. Are you setting up for some type of, Hurricane 6 powered muscle car in the future or something? And he clarified that they have no plans to do any kind of gas powered muscle cars in the future. He said that yes, the STLA large platform that they're building these EVs on, it's a modular platform and you can put in an engine and a drive shaft if you want. But he said that even though that's technically feasible, they have no plans to do that. He didn't roll out down the road, maybe, doing something like that. But he said, as of right now, they're going just for electric stuff, and that's it. So, Motor Trend's talking about, there's some hybrid V8 powered thing coming, and, that the new Hellcat will just be a regular V8 with a, electric boost or something. And, there's talks, I've even heard, and I've reported previously on talks that, the Hurricane 6 was going to be the basis for new Chargers and Challengers. And now we know the Charger will be getting, be an electric thing. Maybe the Challenger could be the gas-powered one. I brought that up as a potential theory in the past. Sounds like that's dead. I don't know what's happening for the future of the Challenger. Because clearly Dodge has the Charger two-door here, and so that's the two-door covered, so I don't know where the Challenger fits in anymore. It might just go away. We'll see. They haven't said anything about that. But as far as those hopes from, Motor Trend had their sources, and they swore up and down there's going to be, some hybrid V8 thing. According to Tim Kuniskis, there is no plans to do any kind of gas power thing going forward, unless he was talking with some type of technicality that went over my head. But it seems like he was saying, we're done, we're not doing, it's all electric going forward, get the gas thing out of your head. And that's kind of been the theme here from Dodge. So, that's just, I would like to see some type of gas power thing alongside, the electric stuff, but it sounds like it's going to be everything or nothing here with the electric stuff, and they're going full EV, at least as far as the muscle cars go. So keep that in mind with your purchasing considerations. If you're someone that's like, oh, maybe I'll wait for a new version, I'm fine with a 6-cylinder or something, you might not want to wait because it sounds like it might be all electric for sure. So, and the last little thing he did add on this conference call about the future of Dodge that was kind of interesting here is that he did add that Although, you know, the gas-powered muscle stuff is going away, and as of right now we have one, you know, thing with the Charger, but potentially the Challenger is going away or something. He did say that Dodge is planning to have more models in their lineup in the future than they have now, even with the stuff that's, you know, shuffling, going away, all that. So, you know, that means that, and this, I think he said a lot more. So there's going to be more Dodge products coming, whether that's just more stuff like the Hornet and things like that, or there's going to be more muscle stuff or what, I don't know. But just keep in mind, there is more stuff coming from Dodge than just the Hornet and this electric Charger. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming here in the 2020s. So I'm excited to see what they end up doing. And if their creativity with the Charger EV is anything to go off of, it's going to be very, very impressive. So, but yeah, very interesting to, you know, kind of get some, you know, insight there behind the curtain as far as what's coming, you know, a little bit, and also some plans here for the electric Charger. It all sounds very promising. And as far as the stuff, the current stuff here, the final hurrah for the 2023 Dodge Challenger and Charger, we also have a little bit more info as well. So first off, you know, there's been all these last call special editions that they've been putting out. There's supposed to be 7 of them. We've seen 6 so far. The 7th one was supposed to debut at SEMA here, but it ended up having to be delayed because they ran into issues with it. And again, Tim Kuniskis, being, again, very blunt and open, just laid it all out there and said the reason why is they've been having trouble with the development of it. And that's the reason why it's delayed, because they're blowing them up, supposedly. And so they can't get it out in time. And hopefully they will work it out. And so I'll give you his official quotes here. But so he said that, you know, the final call, the last call, you know, final one that they were coming out with was going to have more power. And so he confirmed that when you want to add power to a Hellcat, it's very easy to do. Unfortunately, when I sell it as a commemorative edition, I have to put it through the normal production duty cycle. We run these things on wide open throttle for hours and hours on end, 24/7. The testing on these things is just brutal. So we've grenaded 7 engines, but I think we've got it figured out, and he's hoping to, you know, have it debut here as soon as they do have a fix confirmed here for this thing. And so it's awesome that he just revealed that, hey, yeah, we're blowing up Hellcat motors behind the scenes, you know, trying to get more power out of it. And, you know, obviously it's very easy to do in the aftermarket, but whenever you're trying to actually have that pass through emissions, pass through, you know, all the other stuff to, you know, validate and have a warranty behind it and everything, it's not so easy for Dodge to do it than it is for some random tuner that doesn't care if you blow up your motor. So I commend him for pushing the limits here on something that, again, they're only going to probably sell a couple thousand of tops, maybe not even that many. You know, be putting all this R&D work into, you know, blowing up motors and doing all these tests is really awesome, honestly. So cool to hear that they're continuing to work on that, and hopefully they get it fixed and worked out here so that that last awesome edition of the Charger or Challenger can be a really special, powerful beast. And the last little bit of Dodge muscle news here for those that do want to get it on this last model year and are, you know, just wanting to jump on the 2023s here, whether it's the last call version or any version of the regular normal Charger and Challenger for 2023. Dodge also debuted the horsepower Locator, which is their best attempt at helping everyone to get the car that they want, hopefully for a decent price here. So basically this is similar to an inventory search tool, except it's for dealer allocation. So you're searching and it'll show you every dealer and what they've been allocated already for 2023. And they basically say they already have all the allocations done for 2023. So it's all out there in plain sight. Here's what all the dealers are getting. The dealer can't hide. They can't play games. Everyone knows what the dealers are getting. And so apparently once a car is sold, or that, you know, an order has been placed for a customer, then that allocation will go away on that horsepower Locator. So what you'll be looking at is hopefully a pretty up-to-date look at how many allocations that dealer actually has to work with, and once they're gone, they're gone. And so Tim, again, on the call basically said he wanted to kind of take away some of the mystery of this whole, you know, allocation process, so that, you know, the buyer has this information, and so it makes it easier to find exactly what you're looking for and know what dealers are getting it, and also know that you can get it, so that, you know, you're not just blindly waiting on a wait list and being like, oh, my dealer said they'd get an allocation, but they don't know when, and then, you know, 2023 comes and goes and you don't get a car because, you know, the dealer lied to you or something, or just thought that they were going to get something they weren't going to get. So this, you know, makes it very out in the open. It also shows you exactly how many they have, so that they can't say like, oh, we're only getting one of these when they're really getting 2 or whatever. And it also allows you to expand your search radius So if you call your 5 local dealers and they all want, money, way over sticker or whatever, some kind of price you're not willing to pay, guess what? Expand your search radius, go as far out as you're willing to travel, and you have all the dealers exactly how many of your exact car they're getting in, and you just go down the line and call them until you get what you want at the price you want. And hopefully that will, curb some of the markups, because you will know exactly where to go for the next one if the dealer you're talking to is not willing to play ball. And again, some of this stuff's going to be really limited, like the last calls. A lot of dealers are only getting 1 or 2 of those. So you might not have much luck calling around. They might all be selling for over sticker. But at least as far as regular Challengers and Chargers, the regular scat packs and things like that, hopefully there will be, some reasonable prices out there for them thanks to, this horsepower locator. It's not a perfect solution. Tim admits himself. He said no one can fight the markups, perfectly. There isn't a perfect thing out there. It's just, we're all trying to, do the best we can to balance the dealer and the customer and all that. And he thinks this is kind of the best way to do it, by putting it all out there and having full disclosure, basically. So anyway, you can go to dodgegarage.com to, do that search yourself and, figure out, where you want to go as far as, your plan of action, all that, if you are someone who's hunting one of these down. But it makes it a lot easier to hunt down a car you're looking for, and so a really cool tool. And I hope they keep this around for the future, and I hope other companies copy it, because I think it, again, really takes, a veil of mystery away from this stuff so that you can know exactly what's going on. And if there's an easy online, wait list of like, okay, this dealer is not getting any of these, and you just, at least you have a better understanding of what your situation is and your odds of actually getting that car that you want. So anyway, I just think it's really cool. And many of us, myself included, often wonder and question, what was BMW thinking with some of their recent designs here? And thanks to a recent interview here by Australian website Car Sales, we now have the answer to that question. What was BMW thinking when they styled the XM and the M3 and all these other very polarizing designs? And so they interviewed BMW CEO about these controversial designs, and he first defended their designs by saying, if you want to change design, any step into the future that is perceived as new will be controversial automatically. There's no such thing as a future-oriented design without controversy. Which I'm not so sure I'd agree with. I think there's been a lot of brand new cars that have just come out that have been new, and people have been like, that looks great immediately. Obviously, you're going to have 1 or 2 people that hate it, but there's a lot of brand new designs that are immediately loved. So I'm not sure I buy that cop-out. But anyway, that was the first thing he said here to try and defend it. And then he also said, so another, I think it just goes back to their questionable, viewpoint, I guess. So he also added that about the XM, the BMW XM that just came out, he said that he thinks almost everyone loves it. I'm sorry to break it to you, but not everyone loves it. So another mark off the mark there. So anyway, he also added that high-end BMWs must only be appealing to the customers who are in that segment, not anybody else. Which is another kind of cop-out in my opinion, where it's like, oh, well, I don't care if anyone doesn't like it anyway, because we're only selling to these 5 people. And okay, fine. You want to style it for, a certain customer and a certain demographic. That's fine. That makes sense. That's understandable. But, whenever you're pretending like everyone loves the design, but then you're like, but actually everyone doesn't need to love it anyway. It's kind of this weird, it's just interesting. I just kind of found this pretty humorous. So either everyone does love it or everyone doesn't need to love it anyway. And so it's just this funny kind of paradigm there. But anyway, so that was his first defense there for the XM, but he also explained reassuringly that the high volume models like the 3 Series, 5 Series, X1, and X5 will continue with more conservative designs. Again, kind of admitting that the designs are polarizing and, aren't really people-pleasing. But again, I guess he's just styling the high-end BMWs for people that like crazy out there styling and people who like, polarizing stuff, I guess. I guess he's just against beautiful, well-liked BMWs unless they're high-volume models. So whatever. I mean, I guess they can pretend like they're doing this deliberately, but I feel like they actually wish that they were well-liked, and, clearly he's acting like everyone does like it when they don't. So I don't know, but it's interesting little quotes here. But then lastly, he said, I want controversy. If we don't have controversy early on in the design process, I already know it's too easy. Out of the controversy, you get engagement. You get people thinking about it and thinking about alternatives. Those are his words. You get them thinking about it and thinking about alternatives. And I hate to break it to you, but yes, they're thinking about alternatives and how they would rather buy those alternatives because your car is not good looking. And that's not a good business plan. You shouldn't have people be thinking about alternatives whenever they're looking at your design. They should be looking at your design and being like, I want that. I don't care about the alternatives. Instead, he's literally saying that our designs make people think about the alternatives. Interesting. This is the CEO of BMW, by the way, who said this stuff. This isn't like some other random executive or something. So there you have it. That's your design direction. That's who's in charge. And these are the things that he is saying. So, at this point now, it's no mystery as far as why these BMWs have crazy designs. It's essentially vehicular clickbait, and that's kind of their goal, is make it crazy, and even if it triggers people, like, that's good, and it'll still sell to the 5 people they need to sell it to, who want something goofy looking, and otherwise it's it. I mean, I know that some people do like the XM, and if you love the XM and you love the new M3 and all kinds of other crazy looking cars out there, more power to you. Everyone likes something different, so I'm certainly not trying to say that everyone agrees with me or anything like that. I'm sure that there are people who love all the BMW designs and 100% agree with this guy, just not me. And judging by the comment section and most of my videos where I cover these BMWs, it seems like most of you do not like the styling either, so I don't think I'm alone. Just very interesting here to hear these quotes from BMW CEO. So there you have it. There's no more mystery though, and so I guess BMW's on their own. They've made their choice. They're sticking with it, and in their mind, it's the best thing ever. So more power to them. But anyway, moving on here. Getting back to SEMA for a minute. There's hundreds of various lifted and slammed vehicles and everything in between. I'm not going to cover all of them because I cover production vehicles in these weekly updates, and it would take me hours to cover all the custom stuff at SEMA. And anyway, I will cover a few of the interesting ones though that I think you guys would be interested in that might have a little bit of production potential or just something that's kind of cool here. So first off, one of the cars that Toyota brought was the GR Corolla Rally concept. So it adds 6 inches to the already very wide GR Corolla thanks to these new rally style fenders that extend down into the front bumper and further widen the rear there as well. You also get that massive rear wing, the OZ Rally wheels, and the paint scheme there to complete the rally car look. And it's really exciting. Obviously none of that stuff's going to come for a production model, but it's just fun to imagine what an actual GR Corolla rally car would be like, and now we see it here, and so cool to see that. Lexus has also partnered with DSport to make the IS600 Plus. So instead of having a boosted version of the 5-liter or something like that, it doesn't actually have a V8. So this actually takes the 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 from the LS500, and now has gone on to being in the Tundra and the LX and all that. It takes that motor and adds bigger turbos and E85 to get it over 600 horsepower. And so it could be a nice idea for a successor to the IS500 whenever the Lexus V8 inevitably goes away eventually someday. This would have more power. Obviously, it wouldn't sound as good as that V8, but even stock in like a Sequoia and stuff, that twin turbo V6, even in the Tundra I just reviewed, that thing pulls strong. So in a little IS500, even with stock power levels, that would be really fun still. And then this thing having it, over 600 horsepower, that would be wild. I would love to see them put something like that into production, even if it's toned down a little bit. That would be a very cool successor to the IS500, even if it didn't sound as good. And if it actually allowed them to have some turbo sounds, it could sound really sweet still nonetheless. So a cool concept there. Volkswagen has also revealed the Jetta GLI Performance concept, which was made in partnership with Racing Line. And so it gets wider fenders, front and rear, along with new bumpers, side skirts, wheels. It also gets a big power bump thanks to a tune and some bolt-ons to now make 350 horsepower and 372 pound-feet of torque, and it's slowed down by Racing Line's big brake kit, and their coilovers and underbody braces were also added to help keep up with the extra speeds that it's capable of. This one, obviously, I don't think is ever going to make any kind of production. It looks really cool, but it is a little more extreme than you'd see from a production Volkswagen. But it would be cool to have some inspiration from this rolled into some type of Jetta R someday. We have the Golf R, and there's R models planned for other models, and we know that, again, Volkswagen's going all electric in the future, so this is a pipe dream, but it'd be really fun to see, you know, the Jetta get the R powertrain, and maybe some of these looks here, you know, just for the last few years or something could be fun, but I'm sure probably wouldn't make any business sense, but we can dream. A Jetta R, I think this kind of envisions what that could be like, so cool to see that. And moving on from SEMA here, one favorite tuner car that will continue to live to see another model year here is the Nissan GT-R. So, you know, Japan got a 2022 model year, but we did not here in the States. The last one we got was in 2021, and it was kind of up in the air. We're like, well, that's weird. We're not getting a 2022, and, you know, it was kind of this question of, is the GT-R going to go away, at least for the U.S. market? And thankfully, it is not. It is coming back for a 2023 model year. Nissan just confirmed here, and it will come back for the rest of the world as well here for 2023. And unlike past years of the Nissan GT-R, this year it actually isn't getting any kind of price increase aside from like $200 extra on the destination charge. But otherwise, it's the same price, which is notable because it seems like it ballooned in price over the past few years. And with inflation and stuff, I was actually expecting it to go up again. But for 2023 here, no price increase, which is great. We did get confirmation, you know, that it is sticking around for 2023. We don't know about anything beyond 2023. You know, we do know a new Nissan GT-R is coming, but it seems like it's a long ways off. So, I mean, maybe they'll continue to build the R35 here for the rest of the 2020s or whatever, however long it takes for a new version to come. Or maybe, you know, it will finally, you know, end production here at some point and we'll have a gap before the new one. I'm not sure what they have planned, but I'm just glad they're, you know, continuing to build them, even if they're building them very slowly and without any changes. I'm just glad they're keeping them around. It's great to see it in production still, and so awesome to see that confirmation. Another vehicle is confirmed to continue to stick around, which was, at least in my opinion, a little bit up in the air, is the Porsche 718 Boxster and Cayman. We know there's a new electric version coming based on the Mission R concept, and so, you know, it's just a question as far as when it was coming. Apparently some of that Volkswagen and Porsche electric stuff's getting delayed a little bit, and we do know that Porsche wanted to build as many of these gas-powered Boxsters and Caymans as they possibly could until that point. So it's just great to see there is going to be a 2024 model year of the Boxster and Cayman, and along with the 2024 model year, we're going to be getting a new style edition. And so they provide no performance improvements, unfortunately, but I mean, they named it appropriately, just the style edition. So it does get wheels from the 718 Spider, which does give it a little bit of extra style, and also it does have a sport exhaust, which, you know, I guess you could argue is a little bit of a performance improvement, but otherwise it's just an appearance package on a base model Boxster and Cayman with its 300 horsepower 4-cylinder Boxster turbo. It's also showing off a new color that'll be available for 2024 called Ruby Star Neo, and it's a throwback to the old Ruby Star color, and so it'll be arriving in Europe first, but we'll be getting them here in the US at some point in 2023. And we have a couple of teasers this week here. So first off, Ram has revealed another teaser image here for the coming Ram 1500 Revolution, which is the electric truck that was supposed to be debuting this month at the LA Auto Show, but they've now pushed that launch back to the CES show in January. But in the meantime, you know, we can see we have a tweaked headlight design here based on, you know, this new image versus what we saw in previous teasers, and you also see it still has a shorter hood than a regular Ram, and either a very long bed or an interesting shape for a crew cab that's hiding in the dark there. It looks like it kind of slopes off after those front doors, so I'm not sure what's going on with that final design, but very interesting to get another teaser, and at least we only have a couple months more to wait for that. Subaru has also teased the 2024 Impreza that'll be debuting at the LA Auto Show, and all we see here is a dark outline, but it does confirm that the hatchback version will stick around, which honestly is a surprise. I figured they would have just stuck with a Crosstrek and, you know, dropped the regular hatchback, but it looks like it's sticking around, which is great. And we've also already seen the international debut of the new Crosstrek already, so I'm not sure why they're teasing so much, because basically it's going to be the new Crosstrek, which again everyone has already seen officially, it's debuted, but with less ground clearance and less body cladding. That is going to be your new Impreza, almost 100%. So no mysteries there in my opinion, but you know, we'll wait and see what comes out here in a couple of weeks, but interesting to get that teaser. And for the last news story here this week, there's yet another new DeLorean, which I know it's very confusing because there's all these like new DeLorean type things that are popping coming up left and right. But this one looks like a proper DeLorean revival, unlike the whole new DeLorean brand of products that was shown at Pebble Beach, which was inspired by the original, but they took a lot of liberties and had an interesting, very ambitious kind of EV startup kind of pipe dream, which does seem to be a little far-fetched. And so also, by the way, that whole company that's doing all of those things we saw at Pebble Beach, they're now in a legal battle with Karma Automotive. They're claiming that there was a bunch of I guess stuff that was stolen from as far as the plans and using proprietary information and stuff from Karma. So who knows if anything's gonna ever happen with those all those things that debuted at Pebble Beach there. But I wouldn't hold your breath for that. But so that's a separate thing that is not tied to the DeLorean family or anything. The naming rights were just bought by a random company that's doing their own thing. But this new car is tied to the DeLorean family. So this is called the Model JZD, and those initials are the same as John DeLorean, and the company is called DeLorean Next Generation Motors, and it's run by his daughter, actually. And so that's pretty cool. And Autoblog's reporting that the car was styled independently by Angel Guerrera and Alan Portahilo, and so they kind of designed it as a tribute to the original. But then whenever DeLorean's daughter saw it, she asked them to join her in making this new car a reality. So apparently she's been working on this new car with them, and also some of the original DMC-12 engineers are actually going to be giving some of their input as well. And so they're supposedly still deciding on a lot of it. They're still trying to figure out whether they want it to be powered by gas or electric. So again, very open-ended still, but I think this design seems to be pretty well nailed down because it looks fantastic. There's no need to change anything aside from production considerations and safety considerations. But other than that, I mean, that design is ready to go in my opinion, and I think they probably agree. And so supposedly they're working on a show car that's they're expected to have it finished up by January. But then they're also saying a public debut of what I'm assuming will be a production version or production intent version will be coming by the end of 2023 here. And so she says the car and the company will showcase the principles John DeLorean believed in, such as quality, safety, longevity, and affordability. And affordability is the big thing. I mean, if they can make this thing look like this and actually be somewhat affordable, even if it's just under 100 grand, that would be huge. And I think they would sell a ton of these things, if they can actually keep it affordable. And if it's even well under 100 grand, you're talking about something that could compete with the C8 Corvette or something like that, that actually has decent power and looks like this with gull wing doors. I mean, how many people would just buy this thing just for the gull wing doors alone if it was 75 grand? I mean, this thing would sell like crazy. So I hope they can actually bring this to reality. Again, lots of EV startups and little startup car companies we hear one or two press releases from, and then you never hear anything again. Hopefully this does become a reality. They can make this thing. It looks fantastic. I love the styling of this new thing. This is what a new DeLorean should look like, and I absolutely love it. So hopefully they can bring this thing to production, and best of luck to them. But very cool to see that. And lastly, I want to give a huge thank you to all of you who are members of the Maran Motoring Club. So we didn't have any new members join this week, but I wanted to give a huge thank you and shout out to member MDTT, who's been a member now for a long time, and I very much appreciate the support. I hope you're still enjoying the perks, and I just very much appreciate your support and all the members' support here on the channel. If you'd like to also become a member of the channel, there will be a link in the description here, as well as join buttons here on the channel page and on the video page here if you'd like to join and become a member as well. Hopefully those of you who are members enjoyed the live stream here this past week where you got the priority answering. It was really a fun live stream, and definitely go check out the live stream as well if you happen to miss it. Lots of fun tangents and rants and things like that, and lots of just cool discussion with all of you. So thank you all for joining the live stream, those of you who did as well. But anyway, that's it as far as all the news this week, guys. So thank you all very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on all the stuff in the comments below. Please continue to also like, comment, and subscribe here on this video and all the videos on the channel to help keep these videos coming. And again, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.